All right, guys. So I wanted to take a little bit of time and just talk about things that have came to this game over the last few months, just as kind of like a guide for those who take a break and return for a little bit, because it definitely took me a few days to get into the swing of things, and I've been trying to help one of my other friends get acclimated back to the game, and there's just a handful of new stuff that while the game will like pause and do tutorials, I feel like it doesn't necessarily do the best job of explaining it to you. So I wanted to go over a couple of things that we got going on. The first new system that I really wanted to talk about is the fellows. So they're little dogs that you can have coming with you. There's two in the game right now. They got a little German and you got your lab here, yeah? So they both have unique abilities. The shepherd over here will refill your HP over time, and your other dog over here, he will give you ammo over time, auto refill rounds. Both pretty useful. You get these from the Void Vessel missions. Normal difficulty gets you the shepherd, and then hard difficulty, you get my little guy over here. Now, what they're useful for outside of their unique abilities is they both give you item auto pickup, meaning if you are walking near either a item drop, reactor, weapon, resource, anything like that, and you don't walk over it, but it's within a certain meter radius of you, your dog will pick it up for you. As you see, my dog is at level 24. He's got a 52-meter pickup range. It's pretty nice, right? And then the other thing that the dogs do is something that I've been begging for them to do in this game for so long, and it's the auto dismantle feature. Honestly, it's probably one of the reasons why I was like so quick to give up on this game. It wasn't just because it's like, oh, there's no auto dismantle, but it's like the actual process that you go through of dismantling in this game is kind of tedious and annoying, and it's not something I want to keep doing, so I just wind up wasting all the drops that I don't need, and it was really agitating me. So seeing that the dog does it is really nice. Now, it's not really an auto dismantle, so to say, in the fact where it's like, if you pick something up and you don't want it, it's gone immediately, right? When you pick something up, it goes in your inventory for a set amount of time, and then once that time is hit, whatever items you have set for your junk filter over here, which this is separate than the junk filter you have for your Descendant, mind you, so you'll have to set this individually. But once you have it set, whenever the timer hits 0, mine's at 140 seconds, it'll auto dismantle everything in your inventory. If you don't want to wait the 140 seconds, whenever you fast travel to a new zone besides Albion, it will automatically dismantle everything. So, very good for getting that done. It also increases your module drop rate, that is what it is. You do not level up the dog just by playing the game itself. You do have to craft the items that you need to level up its experience gauge. If you go to Anais over here and we take a look at our enhancement materials, you will see that you have the fortified supplement, the special synthetic calcium, and the ultimate protein compound. These are all drops that you get from hard void vessels. The green chests that you can open up using decryption keys are how you get this stuff right here. And they level up your dog a pretty decent amount. As you would expect, the pill is only a little bit, the supplement is a lot, and then the calcium is even more than that. I believe when I used the second tier, when I had my dog at 0, it took him up 5 levels automatically. Anyways, it's not super hard to level up your dog, but it's definitely worth it, and the dog is such a good addition to the game. The other addition I want to talk about is not so good, and it's not really the addition's fault, it's just some of the systems attached to it. So we have weapon cores now, which are a new way of upgrading your weapon to make it even stronger than you had it. The problem with this with this module system when it comes to upgrading your weapons is there's a cap on how high you can go, right? No matter how many times you level this weapon up or how many sockets you put on it, there's only so much you can do. There's not like an endless amount of sockets you can have, and you can't just throw catalyst or energy enhancers on it nonstop. You can throw catalyst on it nonstop, but you can't throw energy enhancers on it nonstop. There's only so much you can do, right? So that's where weapon cores come into play, and you do it at Descendant over here. Let's go ahead and take a look at my Enduring Legacy a little bit. So weapon cores will allow you to add in smaller cores into all these different slots here. You get your free augment, which is kind of like, you know, not tied to any specific affinity here for the colors. You can put whatever you want in it. You got your reds, which are your hit augmentations, your yellows, which are your precisions, your purple, which is your specials, and then you got your tacticals and your firepower as well, right? So these bonuses I have no problem with. I think this system is pretty fun. Basically, you'll just pick a color, and the color has different attributes that it can roll on. As you can see, we have different tiers of cores here. 1, 2, 3. I believe they go up to 10, may go higher. But depending on what tier of core and what color it is, you get different abilities tied to it. And these can go pretty high, right? So you can farm these up. You can take the lower tier ones that you want to make something a little bit nicer out of. You bring it over to your craft core menu. You see you can make something of a higher rarity. Like I can take my 2 and my 3 and get it up to a 4. Or I can do 4, 5, 6 over here. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and roll a 6. And the reason why we're going to grab that is I want to get a higher firepower roll on my Enduring Legacy. So we're going to go ahead and see if we get it. Let's cross our fingers here. As you see, it'll take my core, and then it takes one of these core particle disruptors to actually do the reroll. And we got a better roll on the firearm attack. So we're going to go ahead and just gobble that up, throw it on there. And yeah, I just got a 10% increase on my firearm damage. Your weapon cores, in order to get more of them, you're going to go to this Void Erosion Purge, okay? And as you see, it's got increasing tiers of difficulty that go all the way up here. And when you do these missions, they get harder and harder. As you see, the Vulgus levels are jumping up. And whenever you complete it, you'll get a little bit of Arche Factor XP, and then you'll get these cores to drop at the end of the mission. As you're playing through the mission, you're going to get more and more cores to drop. So don't think you're only getting about 15 or 20 per. You'll get a lot, and you'll get them fast. It's a pretty generous system. The missions do get hard. As you see, I'm only on like 8 or 9. And I'm pretty dead set on sticking to Serena. I feel like if I went to Freyna, I could probably have an easier time with him just because that's a stronger character the way I have her built. But just know that these enemies are not going to just fall over like pieces of paper like other enemies in other modes do. They get pretty hard, but that is how you will get the stuff that you need to interact with that mechanic. It's a good sit, and you might be thinking, well, what complaints do you have about this system? Because that seems pretty good, right? Like, it seems like a nice, fun way to get some extra mileage out of your weapon. Well, this is where the problem comes, right? So let's say that I wanted to go ahead and install these upgrades on a weapon that I, just don't have the core set up for, right? So Last Dagger is pretty meta right now. Let's take a look at it. Oh, what is this? Well, we need a core binder. And if you look at the cost down there, a core binder cost 2,000 Void Abyss metal fragments, all right? And you see I got 980 on there, all right? I'm going to shoot absolutely straight with you. 500 of those 980 came from Anais in the event shop over here, yeah? These things are not fun or easy to get. So whenever you do specific, I don't think it's all of them, when you do specific 400% campaign missions, you'll get 40 of them to drop. 40. And you need 2,000. All right? Now, thankfully, when the game introduces this system to you, it'll wind up just giving you one. And that's how I got it on my Enduring Legacy. But getting 2,000 of those for that upgrade is so daunting. And it's like, if there's something else that you're farming for that you can get from that 400% mission, let's say there's an amorphous material for a new Descendant that you really want, you're going to have to grind it. So you're going to get these things passively, and then you can use it, and it's fantastic, right? But what if that's not the scenario that you find yourself in? What if you're like me, where it's like, I kind of have everything that I want right now outside of fucking Keelan and Enos and this ultimate Sharon and Glay, right? These two fuckers are coming from my Void Vessel. So I'm not really doing anything to sit here and scrape these metal fragments together. I think you do get 20 of them from the Void Vessel. But 20 is like such a small number. Before I went out and bought them, I had next to nothing. It's just an insane amount of grind, and the fact that you have to do that grind to completion for every single weapon is just a little exhausting to me. But, you know, this isn't a my thoughts on the features. It's just what the features are, so I digress. On the other end of the weapon cores, we have Arche tuning, which is the Descendant counterpart to your weapon upgrades. Now, you see all these nodes are tied to different attributes of your character. So you got MP, we got skill power, HP, firearm damage. What's over here? Weak point damage. Then we got multi-hit. We got mitigated damage. We got enhanced shield, movement speed. You got defense. You got skill cooldown. Almost any kind of attribute you can think of is somewhere on this map. And you upgrade it using these Arche tuning points, and I'll show you how to get those in a second. But these are like really useful, and they're not hard to get at all, and it really does make a difference in what your Descendant is able to do. Serena over here requires a shit ton of mana to keep her stuff going, at least if you play her like I do. And these MP nodes here have been really putting in work for me. Same with the enhanced skill cooldown, because I use Divine Purge on her, so it keeps my stacks up pretty consistently. And yeah, I mean, it's just a really good way to get some extra juice out of your Descendant. So how do you get your Descendant points to use in the Arche tuning? Well, there's a few ways you can go about it. So if you go to the Void Vessel, you can do a hard mission. I believe you get about 500 XP from that. Yeah, let me take a look over here. If we go to hard, this is the icon for it over here. You get 750, which is not bad at all, right? Typically, when you're first starting out, it only costs about 2,000 to get to the next level. So 750 is pretty good. But if we go over here to the map and we look at Sigma Sector over here with the storm level on high risk, you'll see that you're getting a payout of 1,500 on here. Which, if you remember me saying, starting out, it only costs 2,000. So that's pretty huge, right? However, once a day in the Sigma Sector, when you do these, you will get 4,000 Archefactor XP, as well as a high-value relic. All right, and there's 2 of those missions, meaning that's 8,000 bonus XP and 2 high-value relics. Well, Dan, what do these high-value relics do? Well, if you come over here to Reyna and you check out what she's got for sale, you can exchange those high-value relics for these experience boosts to make it where you get even more Archefactor experience, and it just kind of snowballs from there. You can use it for equipment slots. But, you know, if you're wanting to really juice the Archefactor as much as you can, you'll be buying those boosts and using them. And it levels up pretty quickly. I have been playing every day for at least a little bit since the last video I made, which I believe is either 6 or 7 days at this point. And I've got Serena cooked to a pretty good degree here. It doesn't take that much time to get what you need out of it. I think this is a great system. You could farm it if you want. I find the Sigma Sector missions to be more enjoyable than Void Vessel. It kind of just feels like a diet horde mode, even though they have a real horde mode in this game that nobody fucking plays. That's neither here nor there. Anyways, Sigma Sector missions are very good, and it's a good way to level up your Descendant, good way to get your Archefactor tuning up. Now, those are like the 3 mainline new systems in the game. The game always has an event going on, so I'm not going to go over the event that's happening now, because by the time you're watching this, it may not even be relevant anymore. So let me talk about what is relevant to this game still. Gold. Gold is extremely relevant. And when I got back in, and I was trying to do literally anything, be it trying to craft parts to make Serena, or craft some things that I needed for my character, I wound up coming to the conclusion that I was always short on gold more than I was any other type of material. So what do you do about it? Well, you got your dog now, so you have an increased pickup, and whatever kind of mission you do, you're guaranteed to have a lot more gold coming out of it because your dog is going to pick up everything that you missed, right? But, you know, sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes you need quite a bit more. So, if you go over here to the hard invasion for the day and you do your disrupt invasion, if you remember the Haley grind, or you weren't here for the Haley grind, and, if you weren't here for it, you should do it because Haley's a great character. You can do 4 of these missions a day. And when you do the missions, you get 1.25 million gold. That's a lot of money, right? Now, you remember how I mentioned that they're always doing events in this game? And they are always doing events. Throughout those events, you can wind up getting these consumables over here. Let's go ahead and find them. All right, we got one for the XP over here. We got some for firearm. We got some for our Kuiper shards. But this one right here, the gold gain. Now, that's the one that we're going to be taking a look at. Now, what's so good about this 30% gold gain for 3 days is that works wherever you want to use it. So if you want to use it on these disrupt invasion missions, you're not getting 1.25k. You're getting like 1.65k. You're getting an extra 400 or 500 thrown on there. It's pretty fucking good. Look at my gold. Now, I'll be honest with you, gold goes fast in this game. I was at 30-something the other day, but I had to spend 10 mil on making some parts, and it all pissed away. But point being is you get gold really fast and at a good rate by doing it this way. And if you have your character built at a pretty good place, they're not missions that take a long time to do. Back when they first came out, they were a pain in the ass. You had to beat it under a certain time frame. The bosses were tough, and they had a lot of health, and they had a mechanic that you'd have to do where you would need to break their shield and then kill them within the required time, or else they'd get their shield back, and you got to do the mechanic all over again. It's just a lot, right? But I feel like if you're a returning player, or you're just a player who knows how to build a Descendant, because I'm doing them with Serena now and I'm doing it really fast, you're able to blitz through it and get the money that you need really quickly. So I want to talk about daily rotation just for a quick second while we're on the topic of gold and arcade tuning. My daily rotation for this game, if I do nothing else, is I'm going to get on here and I'm going to go do my disrupt invasion mission so I can get my gold. And then I'm going to run over here and I'm going to do my Sigma Sector missions to get my arcade tuning. And if I don't do anything else, that's all I'll do. I think that's a pretty good core loop for anybody who plays this game somewhat regularly to get into, because it makes sure that you're seeing progress on your character and you are seeing progress in your resources. Your gold is the lifeblood to anything else you do in this game. It's like Glimmer in Destiny 2. If you need to upgrade a weapon, it's going to take some gold. You need to upgrade your Descendant modules, it's going to take some gold. No matter what, gold is always there, so you got to make sure you got a lot of it. Now, to rewind a little bit here and go back into some new systems, because there was one I forgot. Now, let's talk about reactors, because there's a few new things that you can do with it that I feel like really add a lot to that system. Reactors used to be very restrictive. Let's take a look at my inventory real quick. So if you see this Burning Mechanics reactor, you can use a machine gun to boost your power rating up to 160. But if you use any other type of weapon, SOL. Shit out of luck, brother. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Well, how do you fix that problem? What you do is you go over here, and you can see this new section over here called Implant Reactor. And what this will let you do is you can choose your base reactor. This is mine right now. And you can consume another one of your reactors to give it a new optimization condition. So this one I got right now, you'll see I have it built for machine guns and handguns because I've been rocking with my last dagger here a little bit. So now if I swap to either of these weapons, I am no longer chained to only having the 100% skill boost. I can maintain my 160 because both of my weapon archetypes are supported. I was talking so much there, I had to give myself a break. I kind of drew to a blank there for a second. But talking about reactors, yeah, you can increase its optimization requirement, or its optimization compatibility, rather, for 3 different weapon types, and you have 3 weapon slots. So I think that works pretty well. You can overwrite these conditions. So if you wound up putting something here, this was originally hand cannons, but I had dropped off of Malevolent and started using Last Dagger, so I swapped it out for handgun. I'm probably going to put Assault Rifle in this one. But I say that as to say you are not married to what is on your reactor when you get it. So if you got a reactor and it had all the skills that you just loved, but the typing on it was not what you need, you can swap it out. So don't just throw it away thinking it's worthless. Now, as you can also probably tell, your reactors can be leveled up further than they could previously. You can go over here to Reactor Enhancement, and instead of upgrading it twice, it can go up to 5 times now. Now, I'm not going to lie to you here. It really just goes up about 1,000 skill from where it was previously. But I'm not the biggest math guy in the world, right? I'll go ahead and tell you. When I make first Descendant videos, I am not one of those that's going to be able to be like, I ran the math, here's the spreadsheet. No, I can't do all that. That's too much math for me, yeah. But what I do know is that increase by 1,000 does play pretty heavily into all the different types of multiplicative advantages that you can get through your modules. So even though it seems like a small boost at face value, it winds up being a lot. My Serena, now that I have her fully upgraded and kitted out, this is basically just a nuclear bomb with a Marvel colorway on her. She can destroy pretty much any kind of mission-style enemy I come across. The only thing that I've struggled with is bosses on her, but as I'm sure most of you know, Serena is primarily a gun-build Descendant, and when you build her that way, she's fantastic against the bosses, but that is not the way that I'd gone about doing it with her. Anyways, the Reactor Enhancement is a good system. You can get a lot of value out of it. The way that you upgrade your reactor is through a new resource that was not in the game previously. Let me see if I can find it over here in my inventory. May have to wind up going over to Anais again so we can get a look at it. Alright, and there we go. It's Dimension Analyzer. This is what you're going to be using to upgrade your reactors now. It takes a regular ion accelerator, some precise ion accelerators, and then a quantum incubator. You can get quantum incubators from hard void vessels. You can get it from doing like the block Kuiper mining, stuff like that. And then you can buy it from event shops. But those are what you're going to need to be crafting these. Your quantum incubators are probably what's going to hold you back the most, but your precise ion accelerators, if you're anything like me, they can wind up running short pretty quickly as well. So you want to make sure that you stock up on those. Quantum incubator can be something that's really boring to grind out, because kind of like what you need for your cores, it's just a lot of running the hard void vessel. And there's just something about that mission that is just extremely boring to me. And I believe it's the enemy shields that require firepower to destroy. And if I keep talking about this game for an extended period of time, my disdain for those shields will become more and more apparent every time I talk about them. But, you know, we're being forced to interact those mechanics, so that is what it is. But that is how you go about upgrading your reactor. And that's pretty much all the new mechanics that I wanted to talk about that this game has to offer. There's a whole bunch of new ways to get your character into a more powerful state and a lot of new resources that go along with it. But what I think is funny is with everything I said, it really is only about 2 or 3 places that you gotta go to interact with these mechanics. It's the Void Vessel, the Sigma Sector, or